Hello and welcome again to this new edition of Siasa Talks, the only place where we meet to discuss political situations in this country. We examine a few scenarios and try to give an interpretation of the same onto the larger picture of the political destiny of this country. The past few weeks have had a lot of issues going on in this country, from the CJ Maraga presser to the Wetangula court battles to Waiguru's impeachment. But we will look at something more fundamental later on. But before we look at that, there's a book I read that is called The Barbed Wire, written by Mkotani Rugendo. In this book, Mkotani Rugendo picks the story of peasants in a setup in rural Uganda. These peasants have issues with the land system, and they communally own a piece of land that is actually a swamp. So at one point there happens to be a rich man by the name Rambura, and Rambura decides to send tractors to come and drain the swamp and prepare it into arable land for agriculture. So when the peasants gather to discuss this happening, Rambura comes along and tells them, yes, I am doing this for you because the swamp is owned communally. So after this, he meets all the farmers in the area, including Ruanchisi, Frida, and Marito, and he tells them, now that we have finished draining the swamp, you can get out your portions out of the land and start working on the land. So these farmers are very excited, and they demarcate the land into pieces, and each one of them begins farming. And they farm in the land for about a year and a half. Then one fine day, Rambura returns and tells them, well, it is time for me to pick up what belongs to me. So can you harvest very fast and return to me the land? This changes the whole dynamics, because this was communal land and that is how they believed. But now Rambura has taken it and fences it with barbed wire. They try to protest. Rambura brings policemen who arrest them and throw them into the cells. They come out and realize there's nothing much they can do. So what is the relationship of this story to what we're going to talk about today, or the politics of this country? Just as Rambura prepared the land and later on fenced it with barbed wire, the politics of this country is such that one man will look like he's pursuing the interest of others, either for a community, either for friends, either for a political party, but at the end of the day, it's winner takes it all. And at the end of the day, proceeds in the political space must go back to him. So that is why we should not be surprised with a lot of happenings that are happening in a political space, and we tend to wonder what is going on. So let's go back to our discussion. And the most fundamental thing I wanted us to look at today is Uhuru's legacy. We have heard Uhuru a couple of times talk about his legacy and talk about how he's going to bring on board people that will propagate his legacy, people that will help him attain his legacy. But this legacy is what we do not know. And today we're trying to understand what is that legacy that Uhuru is talking about. Some people have talked about the economy. Do you believe in the remaining time possible Uhuru can turn around the economy? The answer is no. Do you believe in the shortest time possible Uhuru can fight corruption? The answer is no. But what is this legacy that Uhuru seems to be so sure about? So we'll look at a few events that have happened, and then this will help us to understand what is the legacy we're talking about. Number one, let's go back a long way when Moi repealed Section 2A of the Constitution. He said that I have repealed the Section 2A of the Constitution, and now Kenya is a multi-party state. But he remembered to say that this is the introduction of your divisions, that there will be tribal politics, there will be tribal parties, and each tribe will have a party, and the unity of Kenya will disintegrate in a way you have never seen before. Hold that there. Number two, the party canon. Who is the founder of the party KANU? The party KANU was the party of Uhuru's father, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And then this party was given to Uhuru's mentor, Mzee Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, rest in peace. And then Daniel Moi gave this party to Uhuru Kenyatta. And Uhuru Kenyatta dropped the mantle because he did not win the 2002 election. So here there is some unfinished business. Hold it there too. Number 3, Uhuru has taken full control of Jubilee as a party, but have seen the faction of William Ruto has been pushed out of the main affairs of Jubilee, and as it were, right now, clearly Jubilee belongs to Uhuru Kenyatta. But we know very well that Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to vie for presidency ever again as per the constitution. As we have looked at Uhuru's politics towards the end of his term, his second term, we have not seen Uhuru suggesting to groom somebody within the ranks of Jubilee that will vie on Jubilee ticket as the presidential candidate. So the question begs, why has Uhuru taken full control of Jubilee, a party that he's not going to vie on ever again? Number 2, a party that he's not preparing anybody within the ranks to take up from him and vie for the presidency in 2022. Why is Uhuru doing this? In my opinion, this is where the legacy is. Uhuru with Raila Odinga told us on the footsteps of Harambee House that never again will there be fighting after an election, what we famously call post-election violence. They told us the what, but they never told us the how. So we need to ask ourselves, how are these two going to achieve that? And that is where the legacy is. Point number 2. So how is Raila and Uhuru, two people, going to achieve that? Let us look at the bigger picture. In my opinion, Uhuru's legacy is returning KANU to where it was. And that his plan for creating non-divisive elections is cultivating a democratic space that has two serious parties. Democracies like the one in Ghana, where there's only 2 parties. Democracies like one in Tanzania, where there's only 2 parties. You are either Chadema or CCM. There could be other small parties, but they're not consequential in the general elections. And that is what Uhuru is cultivating together with Raila, so that by 2022 and going forward, when we go to the election, you are either ODM or KANU. And how is Uhuru going to achieve this? Like I said before, Uhuru has taken up Jubilee, a party that we do not clearly know where he's going with it, because his tenure as president is over and he cannot therefore vie again for presidency. So, in my opinion, Uhuru is harnessing this Jubilee. He's putting legislators together. He's putting those Jubilee seats together. And then when the time comes, he will pour all this into KANU and make KANU the formidable party that it was before. And once KANU goes into 2022 elections as the bigger party, and then remember, there's an addition where we said, or I said, that Raila Odinga will be used in 2022, same way as Kibaki was used between 2010 to 2013, to prepare the correct environment for a Gideon Moi presidency. So, once this Jubilee party is dissolved into KANU, that is why there was a merger and a coalition agreement between KANU and Jubilee. And that is why I'm saying when the right time comes, Uhuru will whip everybody else into KANU and they will not question it. You have seen that happen. Decisions have been made and there has been no question. So Uhuru will build the legacy of bringing back his father's party, his mentor's party that he dropped in 2002. He'll bring it back to glory. And once he brings KANU into glory, remember, with the BBI, the prime minister position will go to the party leader with the majority, or someone from a party with a majority in parliament. With this matrix, definitely, KANU will have the majority in the National Assembly as well as the Senate. And going by that, then Gideon Moi will become the prime minister in Raila's government. This is my opinion. You may have a different opinion, but this is as per the examination of the facts that we're looking at. So once Gideon Moi becomes the prime minister to Raila Odinga, and then that prepares him both as an individual and politically to take on the leadership of this country now officially. That moment, or that transitional moment by Raila Odinga, will have ended, and it will have left him a formidable candidate to make the president that this country needs. And I have always said time and again that Gideon Moi is the presidential candidate that this country needs. Forget about the history that his father was ever president. But this man, if you look at him, if you look at his demeanor, if you look at his speeches, if you look at how he talks, he has an easy sense of humor. When you want to know a president, when you want to know a true leader, is that man who stands before people and creates a joke that people easily relate to, and they just laugh, and the moment isn't like that, and it's not really about Mheshimiwa. That is Gideon Moi for you. So in this analysis, is this to tell you that the legacy is returning KANU back to the helm where it was before? Number two, creating a situation where we have only two political parties that are main contenders for the presidency, that is KANU and that is ODM. So you'll either belong to the philosophy of KANU or the philosophy of ODM. That is what it will be. The other smaller parties will be inconsequential. And even before 2022, most of these smaller parties will have been swallowed by either Jubilee on this side or ODM on this side, and then they form two formidable forces. And this, in my opinion, is a way of balancing power and also putting an end to political violence after every election. Because when, for example, in Tanzania, when Chadema has their presidential candidate and he rules for his 2 terms, the next election you definitely know that it is CCM. And that happens over and over. And the same thing happens in Ghana. The same thing happens in the US, where we have the Democrats and the Republicans. And when we have this kind of setup and this kind of legacy, then it is easy to achieve even economic goals. It is easy to achieve developmental goals. And it is easy to achieve an equitable society. If you like these conversations and many more that we will be discussing here, feel free to click on the subscribe button. You can share this, you can drop a comment, and you can also like